another episode of Death by Bunjie. This is the food plot series. I'm talking on this series about the food plots that I'm doing this spring, about the food plots I'll be doing later in the summer, and hopefully if you subscribe to Death by Bunjie, if you like us on Facebook, you'll not only see the progress, but you'll also see me hunt over these food plots later in the fall, hopefully shoot some really nice deer over those food plots. That's the plan. This episode is all about lime. How to lime your food plots the easy way. I've done a lot of work on food plots, read an awful lot of books, watched all the YouTube videos, I bought some DVDs, and in the end, kind of learned to summarize all of that information because there's so much science out there, there's so much to learn. I've done my best to sort of summarize all that, and I'm going to talk to you about lime in this particular video and what I've learned and the way to keep it simple, keep food plotting fun but effective, hopefully, at the same time. When it comes to lime has one simple purpose, and that is to affect your soil's pH. What is soil pH? That's just a measuring stick that they use to determine whether your soil is sweet or sour. Think of it that way. Neutral is like around 7. That's the measurement that they say is a neutral pH. Anything below that's going to be a little bit sour. Anything above that's going to be a little bit sweet. There are some trees out there that like stuff a little bit more sour. There's some plants out there that like stuff a little sweeter. But generally speaking, we're trying to shoot for that neutral pH, stay somewhere around 7, and we're good to go. That's the plan. That's the goal. How do you find out what your soil pH is? You can do a soil test. You can do one of the more elaborate tests through your local conservation district or whatever. I've done that a couple years ago. I did that, but it basically told me way more information than I really think I needed in the end, and it was a little bit confusing. And in addition to that, not only did it give me too much information, but it also told me that I needed so much lime that there was no possible way I could get it to absorb that much. So I decided to just apply lime as much as I could every year. Started buying 40-pound bags of pelletized lime, hauling them in the back of my car, hauling 400 or 500 pounds at a time, 8 or 10 bags, somewhere around there at a time, and then just stockpiling that stuff over the winter. Then I got a spreader and started putting that lime on. If you don't want to do all the soil testing and more elaborate stuff, you can get away with just getting one of those over-the-counter from Bass Pro Shops or Cabela's or any of those outfits. Even on eBay, you can buy just a soil pH tester that'll tell you what the pH level of your soil is. Does a pretty accurate job. Probably in the end, it's going to tell you you gotta add lime. So just, if you don't want to do the soil test at all, just start adding lime. If it gets a little bit too sweet, when you put fertilizer on it, it's going to backtrack some of that sweetness anyway. So it's a lot easier in the end, I think, to take the sweetness out of the soil than it is to get too much of it in there in the first place. So really what it comes down to for me, after all my soil tests, this whole place is so sour, I decided I'm just going to put lime on every food plot for a couple of years. And a couple of years from now, I'll go back and I'll test and make sure that it's not too sweet or there's not too many problems. The other tip I'll give you about lime is if you're going to do a food plot in the woods where there's been trees, where there's been a lot of leaf and stuff like that composting in the soil, you're going to have to add a lot of lime. You'll find out that your lime content there is very low, that your pH is very sour, and you're going to have to add a whole bunch of lime. So I actually have one little staging food plot I'm going to put in over there, and that area I've actually got a lot of lime on there. I put probably twice as much lime in there. It's a smaller area, so it wasn't hard to do, but I had to spread it by hand. But I spread probably twice as much lime on that little area as I've done in the fields here. When to put lime on? The short answer is as soon as possible. Start putting that lime on as soon as you can. If you haven't limed your fields in a long time and you're planning on doing food plots, you should be buying lime right now and putting it on your fields, putting it on that location. It takes a while for the lime to soak in. It takes a while for it to start affecting that soil pH, and for that reason, the sooner you put it on, the better. Ideally, you put it on over the winter after all of the crops are gone, after everything's eaten. Put that lime right in there on top of the snow. Let the snow work that in. Let the melting snow and the new snow and the frost work that lime right into the soil. And that way, by the time you go to plant, it's already going to be in there. It's already going to be ready for those crops. How much lime do you want to put on? Well, like I said, probably as much as you can put on. Do the soil test, find out how much you need. But once you start putting that stuff on there, coating the ground good, there's only so much lime that your soil can absorb per year. Some of that's going to be worked out in whatever you plant there. But next year, just keep adding more and you should be fine. Do your soil tests periodically to make sure you don't put on too much and you'll be fine. Next question people ask is, what kind of lime do I put on? Well, there's a few different kinds. Make it easy on yourself and just get pelletized lime. You can buy it at any hardware store, you can buy it at the Lowe's, at Home Depot, any of those places. I buy mine at the local Agway. It's pelletized lime. Basically, the product comes in a pelletized form so that you can put it on in a spreader. Now, you can put it in a little handheld spreader, open it up wide enough and go around and broadcast it that way, or like I did this year, I went and bought for a couple $100. I bought a new spreader and I spread it in that one that I can pull behind my Ranger. You can pull it behind a lawnmower or a four-wheeler or anything like that. Holds about 3 bags at a time. Does a great job. Does a nice even distribution of the lime. And you can't beat that. I can also use it for fertilizer here. So it's a great tool to have. Don't have to do it that way. You can go out. I've actually, the one in the woods there, I broadcast by hand using the container of an old flashlight, those big 6-volt flashlights. I took all the guts out of that and just used that as a scooper and went through and scooped it out of the bags and threw it around by hand. It takes a little while to do that. I wouldn't want to do that on a real large food plot, but in this particular case, on the one in the woods, it was no problem at all. I've spread about 6 bags, I think, of lime on a very small area with that little scooper. If you do use one of these spreaders, make sure you check the bag of lime. Most of the bags of lime that I've bought have a graph on the back that tells what settings you're supposed to use for the kind of spreader that you have. And in my particular case, it showed my spreader, told me the settings for it, and it worked out perfectly. I put it on there and it spreads it very nicely. It'll tell you, you can actually open it up more if you want to put more on. You can close it up a little bit if you want to put less on. So make sure you check those bags and read the instructions on that. It'll give you some extra tips as to how to apply that lime and how much to put on. Now I'm standing down here in front of the well pad food plot, which this year I frost seeded with clover. It's already been fertilized, it's already been limed, and now I'm going to show you some of the footage of me working on it, putting the lime on this food plot. Okay, here we go again. We're going to try this again. This is the well pad food plot. You may recognize it as such. I shot a nice doe here last year. You can check out that video if you haven't seen it already. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you like us on Facebook, all that good stuff, so you don't miss anything here. This plot last year was throw and grow radish. What I did was frost seed it, and I came down here after I frost seeded it with clover, ladino clover, in February or March, I guess it was. I came down here and tried to make the rounds and go around it real quick with the Ranger and lime it good, and that was a disaster. I got stuck down on the bottom end. But I wanted to show you, we're going to do some liming, and I don't know if you can see it here, but boy, what a good vehicle this is. Boy, what a good setup I got here, and I'm really happy with it. I wanted to show you this. The Ranger's a great tool to begin with, but in the back you can see I got my spreader. It fits right in there, and that's the AgriFab spreader that I got off eBay for like $2.29, I think it was, free shipping. Had my wife put it together, and it goes right on the back of the Ranger. I'll drag it around, but it fits right on top of I got a whole load. I'm loaded right down. Look at those tires. Squatting right down. Loaded right down with lime and fertilizer. What I am going to do on this throw and grow plot, I'm going to pull that little spreader out and hook it on the back. We're going to drive around this food plot, and we're going to spread pelletized lime from 40-pound bags. I actually did do a soil test 2 years ago down here, and the soil on this whole place is so sour. It's just ridiculous. So there's no reason to believe that I'm going to put too much lime on it. It certainly isn't going to happen in 1 year. I'm going to put as much as this thing will spread, basically. I think I got 6 bags in here, which is a lot of lime for this small area. I would have loved to have done it before, but I didn't have the spreader until now, and I would have loved to have done it back in February or March or something, but I didn't have the spreader. I tried doing it by hand. That was not going to happen, so not with this size plot. So we'll hook this up and see how it goes. What a machine this is, what a setup, because I can take this basically anywhere, right in the middle of the woods even. Drive as far as I want, just take it out when I need it. I will say about the AgriFab, it does seem to be, the lime really is getting to it. Lime is a very corrosive thing, and you can see right there already, that one is rusted. This one is not rusted there, but if you look over, it's down in here, it looks like it's starting to get a little bit. But you will want to clean this thing regularly. I don't know how long it's going to last, but so far, I'm not going to be complaining, that's for sure. I'm happy with what I got. I will put the lime on first. This is pelletized lime. And you're just going to put it in there. I'll show you what it looks like. just cut the bag, dump it in here. The spreader holds about 3 bags, level full. It's 120 pounds of lime, so we'll get somewhere with that. And then halfway through, I'll probably have to refill, but we'll go as needed. And that, my friends, is what pelletized lime looks like in the AgriFab spreader. It's pelletized. It's still, that dust can really get to you. If you're doing this all day, you probably want to wear a mask or something to protect yourself. If I was spreading regular lime, I certainly would do it. That's 3 bags right there. The dust of it, smoke, it blows all over the place. But nevertheless, that'll probably get me. One of the things you'll see about this is as I'm going around the food plot, the outer, you're going a lot farther when you're on the outside. As I get to the beginning, get to the inside, it's a lot shorter distance than it is at the beginning. So we're going to play it by ear, add lime as needed, and go for a ride. Life is easy, don't make it hard. If you were born into abject poverty, if you were born with a childhood disease, if you suffer from a disability, then maybe you're entitled to some sympathy. But all of us make choices in life. We create our own problems, create our own strife. You can make life harder than it has to be, but why make it hard? Life is easy. Life is easy. I said life is easy. Life is so easy. One more time. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this particular installment of the Food Plot series here on Death by Bunjie. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't done so already so you can see how all this stuff works out later on. Also, check us out on the Facebook page as well so you can see those regular updates, things that don't make their way into these videos. I post them on there. Send me some pictures of your food plots too so I get a chance to look at those and see what other people are doing. That's one of the ways that I've learned about how to do this stuff, and that's one of the things that I hope to continue to learn about is how other people, what they do and what works and what doesn't. And hopefully we can all get really good success this fall with our food plots. Life is easy. Don't make it hard. Death by Bunjie.